Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session, we are going to talk about Smurfs. Contrary to the thumbnail, I do not think Smurfs are some great, wonderful thing. I think Smurfs are bad. They're not something we want on the ladder. They do cause you to lose some extra games. It's the unfortunate reality that, similar to levers, you are in a situation where, well, if you're on your team, you're less likely to have a lever on your team, so that'll help you win more. Well, if you're on your team, you're less likely to have a Smurf on your team, and that will cause you to win less. So they're not a good thing. And there's no like, oh yeah, well just this and it's perfect and whatever. But they're also not as big a deal as most people think. People have a tendency to externalize blame. We go over that a lot on this channel. We go over a lot how, hey, what you can work on is you, but also you can have quite a bit of impact on the match, and you can continue to get better, and that will move you up. So when it comes to Smurfs, we've really got this thing that, yes, they're bad. They absolutely feel bad. They do cause you to, in some ways, lose some more games. But it's really easy when you start losing a game or when you're already in a bad mood to just look at the other team and see that low level account and go, that's a Smurf. And you know what? It might be a Smurf. It totally might be a Smurf. Or it might be someone, climbed up on Reinhardt and now they've got a new account to play Winston on because they don't want to play Winston when they got good at Reinhardt and just have their Winston get crushed. Is that really a Smurf? Maybe a little bit if you want to think about it that way, but I don't think it's the sort of thing that most of us would be like, oh, that's terrible, how dare you do that thing. That's them going, well, they don't want to play their Winston in an SR where he'd get crushed because they haven't played him before. Like, that's fine. Are they going to be better than the average starting player? Yeah, but that's just kind of how new accounts go in some ways. And then the other thing that you'll get is the Smurfs that are, yes, they're Smurfs, but people have a tendency to go, oh, look, you're in a, let's say, gold game, and oh, there's a Smurf on the other team. That's terrible. We're just going to get rolled. Well, maybe if it was like a GM or Master Smurf, but the reality is it's a Plat Smurf. It's a Plat Smurf playing down in gold. Does that suck? Does that make your game harder? Yeah. Yeah, it does. But you wouldn't even have noticed if it wasn't for the level thing, and you noticing the level thing is actually making you play worse, making you tilt more, making you either over worry about them or really in your depths instead of thinking about what you did wrong. Focus on, are they cheating? Are they using an aimbot? Did they do this? Are they a Smurf or are they real? That sort of thing. So like there's a lot there that's really not necessarily good from a psychological standpoint. And I really do want to emphasize that most of the time, if you're talking a gold game, because that's where the biggest portion of the bell curve is going to be, you're not going to have GM or Master Smurfs in there. And even if people are somewhat constantly creating new accounts, they just don't stick there very long. Like, it's hard to even place them into gold for GM or Master type players. Usually you're looking at a Plat playing down in gold, maybe a gold playing in silver, a Plat playing in silver, that sort of thing there. If we're talking higher on the ladder, yes, diamonds can be a little bit of a playground for GMs for a little bit of time, but even those don't last very long. So Smurfing, absolutely. I know it occurs at different places in the ladder. Different viewers are going to have different places that they are on the ladder, and they're going to have a slightly different breed of Smurf that they're dealing with. Smurfs are not in any way a good thing, but you really don't want to over focus on them and constantly be worried about, oh, they're Smurfing, that's why I can't win, anything like that, because the truth is, if you're gold, going back to our example, and there's a Plat Smurf on the other team, I don't care. Because if you want to move up to Plat from gold, you have to be playing like a Plat anyways. Now, instead of having a 60%, 65% win percentage when you play like a Plat on your team of golds, low golds we'll say, because 65 is kind of high for that. Well, now your win percent is going to be closer to 50, maybe 55%, that sort of thing, because they have an unfair Plat on their team. Well, okay, fine. Yeah, that's not great, but it's not like destroying your ability to climb or anything like that. It's not in any way making the game unwinnable. And the other way that we get into winning games when we're against Smurfs, when we're concerned like, oh, that's a Smurf, we can't handle it, it's really giving us problems. Well, there's two different ways to handle them. You can either go, hey, similar to what you do in any other sport, I'm going to find a way to win against your team faster. We're going to score goals against your team faster than your all-star can get the ball. Or we're going to deny your all-star value. Well, what do I mean by that? What does that mean, temporal? Well, what that means is you can go, okay, cool, you've got your team over there. It has a Smurf on it. That's a problem. But that Smurf, again, assuming they're not a GM in a gold lobby, for example, and most of the time they're really not, guys, assuming that that's not what you're looking at, assuming it's one rank, maybe just barely two ranks above, which is what it is most of the time, what you're going to be looking at is you're going to go, okay, cool, that's a thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find someone weak on your team and I'm going to exploit them to create a win to solve the fight for my team before you're able to solve the fight for my team. You're now in a race against this Smurf to solve the team fight faster than they do. To go, "Hey, this is cool and all, like you're a Smurf on Tracer, you can either ward me out Tracer and then you're getting less value, or I, as Winston, can go get eliminations on your Anna because your Anna is not particularly good at defending herself. Because I've noticed that she's not handling Winston's diving her well. Or, okay, yeah, you're trying to do this thing, but it's really easy to sneak up on your Hanzo. And I shouldn't be able to win this Hanzo matchup, but I can because he's really not good at noticing me sneaking up. And I just did this from a tank role, but you could do this just as easily with other heroes. You could get a, hey, you're trying to solve fights. This Smurf is going to solve fights. He's going to get picks as Widow, as Tracer, as whatever on your, as Hammond, whatever on your team. But you know what? Their Winston is really bad at his pathing, and it's really easy for me to farm blades off of him. So yes, this Smurf is probably going to win some fights, but I can win a lot of fights really fast by charging up blade and doing that, even though they have a Smurf, because I don't have to interact with this Smurf. I just have to try to win the fight as quickly as possible before he goes and solves the fight, or she goes and solves the fight. And I don't necessarily have to interact with her. Now, there's other heroes. You might not be good at Genji. You might not be good at Winston. You might not be good at some of these heroes that offensively solve fights like this. You might go, no, I'm really playing a Lucio, a Diva, something like that. Okay, well, in this case, you're looking for, hey, I'm going to mark this Smurf hard. I'm not going to feed. I'm not going to just constantly fight them, but I'm going to interrupt their key moments. I'm going to hit that boop. I'm going to hit that defense matrix. I'm going to pay a little more attention to denying them value than the rest of the team. And if you do these things, if you go, hey, if I'm playing the right heroes for it, I'll deny the Smurf value, or if I'm playing heroes that are better at solving fights, I'll just try to solve that fight faster. The Smurf is going to be like, yes, it's annoying. Yes, they play the game well. Yes, they tilt their team's chance to win, but it's not really hurting you. It's just making you play the game better and play the game with a bit sharper of a focus on, I need to win fast, I'm on a timer, or I need to not let him get value early in the fight, because if I don't let him solve the fight quickly, that's going to work. Don't let him get value, have that key DM, have that key boop right when he's really going in for it. Okay, your team still might not win. He might still be able to do it, but you're going to create a lot more opportunities for your team to luck into a solution on the front line, that sort of thing. So, like, that's really how you want to think about it. You can still get a lot better playing against Smurfs. Look to either, solve someone weak, exploit someone weak on the other team, or look to sort of deny them value that first time, that second time, slow down how quick they can come up with a win. Now, again, I am not talking about the situation where they can walk into a 1v6 and get 4 eliminations. If they can walk into a true 1v6 and get 4 eliminations, you're doomed. There's absolutely nothing that you can do. But that's not going to be the case most of the time. Most of the time, if you can get 1 or 2 eliminations, even if they're smurfing, they're not going to be able to carry back every fight, or even, 3/4 of the fights, 2/3 of the fights, a 4v6, a 3v6 in most of those situations. It is very hard to actually beat 6 people paying attention to you. It is very hard. That, for example, is why we can have a brawl team that has no ability to fight pharmacy. Like, let's say we're running Reaper, Mei, Reinhardt, Zarya, Lucio, Moira. It's still going to beat Pharmacy. If you take the rest of the team off the board, this comp with like no range and no vertical mobility is still going to beat Pharmacy if they take out the ground team first and still have 6 people alive. Same concept when it comes to dealing with a Smurf. Even if the Smurf is very good in most situations. Okay, I know that's going to be controversial, so I'm actually going to catch up on chat now, and then we're going to go over this post, because this post is kind of going to be worth a laugh. This post, I can tell you guys now, is about someone complaining about they can't actually beat Smurfs, but the thing is, they're a Masters player saying they can't win because they'll win against other Masters players, but then when there's GM Smurfs on the other side, they lose. And it's sort of like, at that point, buddy, they can't be Smurfing more than 1 rank against you. Like, If you can't win in Masters lobbies because of the GM Smurfs, like just get as good as GM. You were gonna have to do that to be in GM anyway. So it's hilarious, but that's okay. We will get into it. They also talk about running into GM6 stacks, which aren't really a thing on ladder. So this should be funny, but let's catch up on chat now, because I expect some of what I said was a little bit on the controversial side, because I didn't just say, oh, Smurfs are the worst thing ever and there's nothing you can do, which I know you all know, but it feels like, no, there's nothing you can do when you're playing against them sometimes. Crunch says, Smurfs are human bias. They feel bad because you notice them, but they aren't the reason you're in bronze. You just play badly. Yep, yep. Hey, Carolina. Of course you can beat Smurfs. Just stomp on them with the whole team. There you go. There you go. The guy saying support is the weakest role to climb, and all we do is just keep our tank's DPS alive tells you all you need to know that this is probably a troll. Yeah, it does. It's a smart idea to see how the Smurf plays after the game. I don't really know about that, Jomar, honestly. Like, you really don't want them occupying that much of your headspace. Like, oh, I gotta go back and check whether this was a Smurf. Not really. Like, if you want to go see how they do things to see if you can do them better, that's fine. But if they're able to do stupid stuff because of mechanical prowess, that doesn't necessarily help you. And they're occupying a lot of your mind space that should have been spent thinking about, hey, what should I be doing? Hey, what should I do next? Like, you really don't want to be giving them that much of your active thought during the game while you're playing, or even really after, because that's time you'd usually be thinking about, well, why didn't we win that? What could I have done better? I was a little slow on that sleep there. Should I have rotated the high ground there? I think I didn't drop off the high ground fast enough. I think we were up and could have taken the brawl and did. Like, that's what you want going through your head after the match, thinking about, how do I do this? You don't really want to be thinking, oh, I gotta go check this while you're in your queue for your next game. Like, that's important time. Plat Smurfs in gold really aren't noticeable in my opinion. You'd think that, Mercedes, but that's because when you're playing in plat or gold, because you're, being a mercy for someone, at least I assume that's what we're talking about, they don't really wow you, they don't really impress you because you've played at a meaningfully higher level than that. That's not me saying Mercedes is hard smurfing. That's not what I'm saying, guys. Different accounts, different rules, things like that. But what we're looking at there is, yeah, you aren't really going to notice that unless you're losing. If your team is losing, or if you've just lost to a Smurf, you're going to look real hard for that Smurf on the other team, and you're going to be like, oh, they're low level, they're only level 35, they're only level 75, they must be a Smurf, that sort of thing. And then you get in your own head, it takes your own space, and oh yeah, they do have a little better mechanics, etc. And again, like if we're going, okay, well, a diamond Smurf in gold, yeah, that's going to be a little harder. They're going to be a bit mechanically better, but you can absolutely win against that. That is not some insurmountable mountain to, oh, they're going to beat you 9 out of 10 times. Not even close. Platinum Gold, how is that a Smurf? You guys can object to that, but what I'm pointing out here is that, like, people get in their own heads about some of the Smurfs there. Like, after you've lost a game to a Smurf, everything you see looks like a Smurf, everything that's low level, and some of them sort of are, but many of them aren't. Many of them are, oh, they're Smurfing one rank, or oh, they actually really are learning a new hero, or they really are working on a new role, that sort of thing. And you don't want to let that self-defeating prophecy become self-fulfilling. Like, you really don't want to let that. Yes, if you have a GM player in a gold lobby, they're going to take over the lobby, and you're not going to be able to mitigate them long enough, because even if you stop them from just winning the fight flat out, after you're done stopping them, which you can't do forever, barriers don't hold forever, DM doesn't hold forever, you can't boop them forever, you can't bash them forever, those sorts of things, they're still going to win before your team is able to win because they play so much faster than your team does. But most of the time, I'm serious, you do not have GM or master players in gold lobbies. Most of the time, you do not have 4,400 GMs in diamond. You have 4,100 players smurfing in diamond. Like, there's differences to these things. They have 6 smurfs and we have boosted people. There you go. There you go. Crunch says a 1 rank up Smurf barely matters. If you were actually deserving of a higher rank, you'd essentially be very close to that player already. Exactly. From the thumbnail, I feel like I know how this video is going to go. Okay, okay. Uh-huh. The only thing that kind of annoys me is when the Smurf is the lowest ranked. You mean the lowest rank in a stack? Like it's a Smurf that's clearly a Smurf that is grouped up with their friends or whatever, and they're boosting their friends while their friends are, I don't know, plat and they're silver, or their friends are uh, diamond and they're gold or something like that. Is that what you mean? Where they're sort of really trying to push the SR around? I could see that. The worst, quote, best Smurf I ever saw was a BAP who solo held us in Spawn on Hollywood. It was nutty. Other than that, haven't really noticed any, but I'm nice, so okay. Sounds like an aimbot more than a Smurf. I mean, you could get good enough players, like you can look at some people's aim and be like, wait, that looks like an aimbot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yes, could have been an aimbot. You shattered your team's mental. Yeah, that makes sense. 50 euro on, or no, 50 pounds on owl players being unable to do that. I mean, no, there's some really accurate BAPs that would crush most teams. Like it depends. You do have to crush the opposing team's mentals and not make them actually solve the problem because they can walk out on a Bastion Mercy and just solve the problem. Um, but assuming you can do that, assuming the team trickles a little bit, yeah, you have players. You even have trials level players. Forget Owl, you have trials levels players who just don't miss and every shot is a headshot. It's not actually true that every shot is a headshot and they don't miss anything, but it sure feels that way when you're playing against them. Um, if you're talking about a plat game, that yeah, BAP is good for that kind of thing. You played against Awkward Zen in Quick Play? I bet that was an experience. BAP has a silly amount of carry potential, it's true. Okay, hindsight. Okay, we're just got a couple more chats I'm going to catch up on here, and then we'll read the post. What do you think about League of Legends removing match chat from the game? Should Overwatch remove it too? Match chat is fine. It's team chat that's toxic. Hide chat is a great solution. Yes. Is there any difference between complaining about having to beat GMs to climb out of Masters and having to beat Silver players to climb out of Bronze? Not really. No. Uh-huh. If you deserve to be in a higher rank, aren't you technically also a Smurf? I mean, only if you're intentionally keeping your rank down. Everyone is allowed some level of variance. Like, oh, you had a bad day. Oh, you lost a few games. Oh, whatever. You're going to have to climb it back. Everyone is doing that. Everyone is doing that almost constantly. So, no, we're not going to consider that smurfing unless you're intentionally manipulating your SR. You're going, let me lose a bunch of games and then win a bunch of games and lose a bunch of games and then win a bunch of games. And even that, you're going to be a little iffy on because if you're playing a hero that you're worse at in your role, let's say you're trying to learn BAP and you're great at Ana and you lose SR when you play 10, 20, 30 games of BAP in a row and you go, okay, that was fine, but I still want to get better at BAP faster, and I think my way to get better at BAP faster is to play in slightly higher SR games, so I'm going to climb back up with Ana and then play BAP again and lose my way down a little bit again. And you're not intentionally trying to lose your way down on BAP, but you want to be playing in those games that are just a little better than what you're used to because you think that's best for your improvement cycle. And it is best for your improvement cycle, though you could argue it's not best for your improvement cycle because you're spending this time playing Ana that you could be spending it playing BAP, but it might be better for your mentals to go win those games on Ana to make you learn BAP faster. So there'd be an argument for that, and I don't think we'd call that smurfing. If you did it like thousands of points, 1,000 points, 7, 8, 600 points repeatedly, it might be considered smurfing. But if you're just bouncing around 2 to 300 SR, that's certainly not smurfing. Uh-huh. I wonder if the comments are bullying this person. They didn't look very bullying, no. Alt F4 is a way to hide chat, but beware it closes your game as well. Okay. Okay. We'll catch on here. So here we are. Here's the original post. It was written by user deleted. Ah, yes. Okay. So they deleted it. They've been downvoted. I'll give them an upvote. It's a bad post, but I'll give them an upvote because I want the visibility for it. Because, I also want the visibility for my comment in my video. Yeah. So moving on. Can I actually beat Smurfs and climb? So I have played since season 2, and I don't know why, but I have only hit Masters a few times, but I run into so many gosh darn Smurfs. Every game or every other game, I run into these GM Smurfs that just destroy my teams. I myself don't have trouble countering or playing against GM Smurfs since I watch so many CarQ and one trick streamers of my heroes of choice sword game overall. Jesus. Yes. Yes, you can handle the GMs because you watch CarQ one tip videos. Mind blown. You hear that, guys? The best way to fight against GMs is to watch a lot of CarQ. That is the answer. So we are definitely looking at a troll. I mean, maybe we're not definitely looking at a troll, but like I don't have an issue with CarQ, guys. CarQ makes interesting, fun videos, but one tip against every hero, one tip for this, 5 tips for this is not actually how you get good at Overwatch. It's interesting. It's interesting to know some of these things, but the way you get better at Overwatch is you go, hey, I'm going to play, I'm going to work on something, I'm going to ingrain this new habit, I'm going to play, I'm going to find a new habit to work on, I'm going to ingrain this new habit, I'm going to play, I'm going to work on, I'm going to ingrain this new habit, and you improve like that. There's actually some dips in here as you're working on the new habit before it goes up, so it's more like that you're doing. There's also a lot more stagnating, but we try to minimize the stagnating. That's how you get better. You can absolutely watch educational content. Educational content, like mine, is fantastic, and there's also very good other educational content out there now. This is not the early days of Overwatch anymore, where your choices were Skyline, it was actually good, and others like your Overwatch, which were not. There's actually some good educational content out there now if you want to do that. That said, watching videos is not how you get better by itself. You have to play, you have to be improving on this stuff, and CarQ I put in the interesting, educational in the sense of, hey, it's new information to a lot of people, not educational in the fact of, like, this is actually a good, solid way to climb. It really is into, like, hey, this is interesting thing, this is a cool tech, not terribly useful for putting your climbing on steroids in most situations. Okay. Um, so is it just luck if I actually climb? Because I play to improve and already better than everyone in my elo, but every time I win like 10 games in a row, I verse 10 games in a row of 6 stacks and lose the SR again. I get. So, has he said that he's in Masters yet? We haven't said. I think later he says that he's in Masters. So, he can win 10 games in a row, then lose 10 games in a row. Okay, well, do some SR harvesting there. Win your 10 games in a row, lose 2 and then stop. It's cool. It's cool. Then try again. You lose 2 more, just still stop. Then you come back and you probably won't lose 6 more at that point. Just saying, that's not how that's generally going to work. If you're losing 10 in a row, you're almost certainly tilted. If you're able to win 10 in a row, your SR is probably a little deflated from where it should be, and you should probably be a bit harder. But what may be keeping you low is you're doing this, oh, I just need one more win. Oh, I just need to finish the night on a win. I just need to finish the session on a win, and you're doing losses. Don't do that. 6 stacks. Smurf 6 stacks. Okay. Okay. I'm in this loop where if I play with my elo players, I can hard carry, but the second I win a bunch of games, I verse Smurfs games and lose that SR back when I started. Okay, again, stop after winning, like win, stop after a loss or two, try it again at a different point. You're not going to get that. Like, you're not going to end up in this mental state because it's the mental state that's doing much of this. Some of it may be the algorithm finding harder opponents for you quickly because it's trying to figure out, well, you're clearly better than this SR. You won 10 in a row, so let's move our guess of what your SR is and let's give you even better until you lose so that we can figure out how hard we should actually move you up. But you shouldn't then lose 10 in a row. It should be you lose a couple and then it goes, okay, we think you're around here, and it'll start giving you games tailored to that rather than starting to find games way above. Doesn't matter. It's kind of annoying since I want to keep learning and getting better, but still being in the same SR and not climbing to GM, aka the next season high rank to get. I am getting really, really bored. That is a hard sentence to read. Okay. Guys, I'm not mispronouncing this or missing words. These words aren't here. This is probably an English second language type thing. Or maybe just, a young kid who doesn't use English very well. Whatever. So, not climbing to GM, the next season high rank, Okay. So I think this is establishing that he's Masters. If GM is the next season high rank, but like it's kind of annoying since I want to keep learning and getting better, but still being in the same SR and not climbing to GM. Like you can learn and get better in your SR as long as your SR is relatively challenging to you. As long as there's reasonably good resisting opponents, you can get better at the SR you're playing against. You don't need to be in the next SR to get better. I did just talk about how playing a little bit above your level is a good learning environment, but you can learn at your level. You can even learn a little below your level. I don't want people learning way below their level, but it can be done. So like this doesn't add up. You can be learning even if you're playing at your level, even if you're not getting to move up to GM there. But to be honest, I am a support player, so it makes sense since support is legit the weakest role to climb with in the game since we do the impact to the game at all. I'm sure that's supposed to be don't impact the game at all. All we do is just keep our DPS tanks alive and support them, but if they do nothing, we do nothing in any way. Ah, yes, your next rank is GM, but you're viewing supports as heal bots. You're not viewing supports as having any offensive ability, any affirmative ability to initiate, to take over engagements. They don't have things like offensive nades, sleep darts, BAP damage, Discord orbs, Zen right clicks. They don't have any ways to open up these fights. The ability to dump people into the well. None of those things exist on support. You never just affirmatively win team fights for your team. That doesn't happen. All you do is support what your team is already doing. Yeah. So we're being trolled, and I recognize that, but it's fun, so let's be trolled for a little bit. Okay. Obviously, support is not some terribly weak, impossible to climb with role. There's some heroes that can be challenging to do it with in the support role because they're pretty indirect. Mercy comes to mind as one of them, but support is not some terrible, oh, it's so hard to climb on this role thing. Like, no, support has great tools. Okay. Either I try to have fun and just relax and do what I can, but it's just so unrewarding and unfun versing Smurfs over and over again since they're like GM and top 500. I always lose since they have such high game sense and skill is impossible. It's impossible to win. Well, okay, if you don't have the skill to beat the GMs and top 500s, I guess you don't deserve to be GM in a top 500. That doesn't seem so hard. Cool. Cool. I don't know, just wondering to be honest, because I want to climb, but I feel like I am doomed. The game's dead, and the only way to top 500 is GM is if you're already there in the first place. I mean, that's a weird sentence. The only way is if you're already there in the first place. Like, haven't we established that the GM and top 500 players are quite capable of going, okay, fresh account, took it to GM, didn't take very long. Unranked to GMs are a thing. GM players clearly don't have problems getting back to GM on fresh accounts. Added note, I made find a group, sent some GM's top 500s for reviews, and they said I should at least be a GM with my skill. Did they now? So I'm legit wondering what the problem is. I hate six stacking, but it seems like the only way. You I don't think you can anymore. I don't remember what the rules are, but I don't think you can six stack in Masters or GM right now. It doesn't matter, but like I don't think the ladder will let you six stack above. Is it diamond or plat? This is what I get for not playing the game anymore. Um. So yeah, not a thing. More evidence that you're trolling us. This is a great post, guys. This is fun. Okay. Temporal Temporal needs to close this video out. It's not Smurfs. If you're Masters and can't hit GM, you should just stay plat. Ooh, that would be pretty good. That would be pretty good. This guy should get a coaching session from Temporal. You're wishing this guy upon me, Crunch? I don't know about that. Temporal can judge if he's GM material. You can six stack in Masters, only Duo and GM. Right. Okay. So it's only GM where we have that threshold set right now. Right. Okay. Thank you, Mercedes. Stacking is a scam. It gives you way harder games. It does give you harder games unless you actually have experience with the stack. It gives you different games, and yes, those games are harder if you're just a group of friends and the other team is experienced stacking, is a scrim team, that sort of thing. 3,900 plus, 2 stack only, I think. Okay, so that's what we're currently set at. Thanks, Artsy. Thanks, Mercedes. Hope it's trolling, because if not, this is very concerning. I think there's some trolling here, guys. Uh, those darned 5K Smurfs, right, Blue X? Right? Uh, okay. The only extra restriction for Masters is the threshold drops to 500 SR for groups. Okay. Okay. One coach told me I should be higher rank. Then I met Temporal, and he got me there. Thank you, Carolina. People parrot what streamers and pros say. They would give those streamers and pros their bank details if they asked. I mean, they kind of already do. That's what donations are. They're not actually giving the bank details, but, money. Speaking of which, super chats are open, guys. Super chats are open. Just saying. Okay, moving on. Okay. But I always have gold healing as mercy. How am I gold? I get 11k per 10 healing, so much I still lose. There's no way this is a troll post. I think we know this is a troll post. I think so. We'll go through and read his final comments here, because we're just having a little too much fun getting trolled here. Let's do a quick refresh to see if there's more comments. Hopefully this post doesn't get deleted. Good, still here. My upvote is still keeping it to 0. This is getting okay. Bronzy's over here. We see has the educational streamer tag. All right, so this post just ain't it. You're in Masters and you're looking to get into GM. Yeah, that was my read too, that he was suggesting that he was Masters. But you're saying that GM Smurfs are holding you back from climbing. Watching car queue or one-trick streamers of your hero isn't going to make you automatically better either. And it's just not true that support has no impact. One good nade equals you win the fight. One good window equals you win the fight. One good immortality equals you win the fight. You can't just heal your team and expect to climb. Let's be honest, guys. Healing your team won't get you to Masters. He's not in Masters. Like, we know this. We know this, guys. Okay. If you're in Masters looking to get into GM, you should be able to play GM players to climb. Support is in no way the weakest role. Look at the value that players such as Twilight or Violet get for their team. I don't know that that's the strongest argument. Organized play is a little different than solo, but I don't really care. The point is correct. I just don't know that that's the strongest example. I don't really see the point of this post. You're just saying that you play GM level, but your team is holding you back, whatever rank you're in. That's the way you should be. A lot of streamers always have multiple accounts, top 500, or do unranked to GM on each character. If they're able to do it, then you should be able to as well. You'll always have bad teammates and unwinnable games. Right, like if this guy's on your team. But not Bronzy or OP here. But nobody's stuck in a certain rank solely because of their team. The way I think of it is if I'm playing tank, I think to myself, if Space was playing instead of me, would he be able to carry? Okay. This post just seems like one of those posts you see every once in a while where people just say some stuff to make it seem like their team is just holding them back. I promise you, whatever rank you're in, that's where you belong. Doesn't mean to sound rude, but it's the truth. Mostly true. Whatever rank you're in is where you belong. Like, yes, sometimes what you need to fix is mental attitude type stuff, playing through tilt type stuff. Like, you could play at a higher level, but you have things that are causing you to shed SR when you shouldn't. So sometimes it's not like, no, your peak level play, your level of play, if you got rid of some of this like tilt stuff, didn't play through, losses, keep fishing to try to finish on a win, you might be out. But doesn't matter. Okay, so I don't know if you're expecting comments like, yeah, you're stuck, don't care. Let's move on to his response. Not to be rude, but what you said about unranked to GM streamers is brain dead, and why your advice means nothing and not what I was looking for. Right, he was looking for self-affirmation. I mean, he might not be. He's probably trolling, so he's not looking for self-affirmation. But in fulfilling this troll role, he is going to be looking for self-affirmation here. Super TF said himself, unranked GM proves legit nothing, and those people have high egos and want to make excuses to make ults. What do you mean proves nothing? I mean, I don't know the quote that he's specifically referring to. Like, unranked GM, it proves that they can get to GM on the hero that they're doing it on. That's not worth very much in the world of professional Overwatch. Like, oh yay, you were able to get to GM on McCree and you're our off-tank player. I don't care. You were able to get to GM on Hog and you're our Diva player. I don't care. Like, none of those things matter to pros because it's like GM 4K is not considered a very high bar for pros, for tier 1, tier 2. Like, none of us care. Even, like, the average 4-3, 4-4 player is going to be like, so I don't care that you got to GM on a different hero. But, like, I don't think that what they're trying to prove is that they're so great on that in that standard. They're just showing that they can do it, or they're treating it sort of how speedrunners would treat stuff like how fast can they do it. Like, it becomes a different type of competition. Anyway, doesn't matter. If you're not top 500 Dale West, you can do unranked to GM on all heroes since you're top 500. If you or top 500, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you okay. Doesn't necessarily mean you can do unranked to GM on all heroes if you're top 500. You will sometimes see people struggle at least for a bit to solve a hero. Would they eventually be able to do it? Probably, but it might take a while. And yes, I played Overwatch for a long time, and teams do hold you back. This is how I know you're legit trolling and don't know what you're saying. I mean, you playing for a long time doesn't mean we have some good experiment of whether teams hold you back or not. There's very much a selection bias there. Okay, your typical top 500 who does not know how climbing works. If I, for example, plat and I am cracked and I can't climb to diamond, I will stay plat. My skills can be diamond, but since I depend on 5 other teammates to do good, I will stay plat. That's true for everyone else too who was trying to get to diamond though. Like, oh, I'm better than my teammates, but I can't get there. Guess what? The players who are actually in diamond are able to get there repeatedly. And if you talk to them, even if they go, oh shoot, I had a bad streak and I went down to plat, and even if they hang out in plat for a couple weeks, when they then find their way back, they'll go, yeah, I had to make adjustments and do it because I didn't figure it out. But like, it's not, they will make it back 9 times out of 10. Not 10 times out of 10 because sometimes they'll stop, sometimes they'll do things that'll hard tilt themselves and they'll go further, but 9 times out of 10, even if they then spend a week or two down, they'll find their way back. Like, that's how that works. Remember, like, diamond means you can win enough to get into diamond and stay there. It doesn't mean, oh, well, if my teammates are diamond, I can be the plat and win against a team of 6 diamonds. No, that's not actually how it works. Same with Masters. I play like I am GM, but I am playing with other players in Masters who are Masters. So I am pick straws if I win or not. So I am pick straws if I win or not. Okay. Yeah, same thing. Like, again, to make it into GM, you're gonna have to be able to beat the lower hanging fruit GMs. That's how it works. It's sort of like how a lot of sporting event type things work, where maybe that's not how it should be, but you know what, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to beat the lower GMs. You also need to recognize that some of these players are like, oh, they're this, but their MMR might be a little lower. The game hasn't moved their SR down yet, that sort of thing. So seeing a GM emblem on the other team doesn't actually necessarily mean that the game thinks they're way, way better than everyone on your team. Doesn't matter. Obviously, if you're a top 500 support, you can do unranked to GM, but I am not top 500, so it's harder to climb since instead of playing with other better players, I am playing with people worse than me, not making progress. Why are they worse than you? Why are you not the average player in your game? Why does the ladder specifically make you the best player on your team every game? Oh, it doesn't. Huh. Huh. Okay, either someone said something that I wanted to hear, or someone said something what I wanted to hear, and I will try 3/doing since that seems like the only way to win to GM. Um, Maybe you could build really good synergy with 2 other people or with 1 other person, and I guess get yourself to 3,900 like that, and then you'd still have to figure out how you're going to get that last 100 SR, or you could try to get someone to carry you. One of those is like, hey, we're building synergy, we're building it up. We have a Mercy Ash duo, or we've set up a dive combo with our Tracer Zen Ball that we're queuing with together, things like that. And hey, we're actually building some synergy, and we know how to do this, and we're, communicating our discords well, and setting up our angles and our Tracer and Ball in 3 different directions, and it's great. Or, you could get carried. That might work, sure. There's other ways to do it, though. Like how you claim educated streamer and probably top 500, but no idea how climbing works. He's the one with no idea how climbing works. I don't actually know anything about Bronzy, so maybe Bronzy does it. I really don't know anything about Bronzy though. Okay. If I was top 500 doing unranked to GM heroes all day, it would not change anything because at the end of the day, top 500 had high skill and game sense and aim, and that's it. I mean, if we make the categories of game sense and aim incorporate all things, then yeah, that is it. Okay. Don't know why you even bother posting. If you're not going to help, he is helping you. You just don't want help. But trash talk them. I'm trash talking you a little. He didn't trash talk you that hard. I'm trash talking you. If you want trash talk, it's right here. Okay. Super chat coming in from Gamebuster. For €2, can Temporal Smurf on my team with bronze account? No, Gamebuster, I'm not going to Smurf on your team with a bronze account. Good try, though. I appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate the super chat. I'm not here to get the maybe you belong in your rank treatment. Right. You're not here to get better. You're not here to do any introspection. You're not here to actually figure out, okay, these are the steps that you need to do to get better. You want someone to tell you the ladder is broken. It specifically doesn't like you. Other people were able to make it from Masters to GM in the same conditions that you're in, but you specifically, the ladder has an issue with. We have a super chat coming in from Crunch for £5 saying, obviously, say it like that, Temporal sucks and does not understand how me, a cracked Platfera, that's not fair, playa, is being held down by the collaborating top 500s. Right, they get together and they specifically ice you out. That's what's going on. They get everyone together, they specifically ice you out, they see you're coming up, even when you hop on a different account, they see you're coming up, you're getting too high in Masters, and they go, hey guys, we can't let that team win. And the players on your team go, yep, the Cabal has spoken, they've said that you're not allowed to win and you're not allowed to rank up. Now, if that was happening to you, I would have sympathy. I would also be curious, okay, what interaction caused it to happen? Because it could have been someone being petty. But let's be honest, that's not happening. And if that is happening, I'd like to see a post with that argument of, hey, there's this evil cabal of top 500 players that aren't letting me rank up. They're specifically holding me down in Masters. And that would be a more interesting post. You could probably make an interesting post about that or an interesting video about that or something. And people would probably go, okay, give us the backstory of why, the drama, etc. But hey, the Overwatch community likes a little bit of drama, so hey, maybe that would work for you. Legit came here to get help, not get flamed by top 500s for being bad. You joke. He is helping you. He is helping you, and so am I, but I'm going to flame you at the same time. Your Twitch titles are legit brags. Your top 500 smurfing on your main role, like, question marks? How entitled do you have to be? Okay, cool. So that's a fun one. That's a fun one. Any more comments from Deleted? No, just Deleted saying he will try the 3 stacking or doing the GM. Okay. Hope you guys are enjoying this one. If so, drop a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. I have a match to go do a warm-up for, so I'll just do a quick catch-up on chat here, and then we will wrap this one up. Temporal or Geomancer says Temporal Smurfs in top 500. I mean, you could say I'm smurfing a little in collegiate, maybe. But no. Okay. There we go. James has it right. Remember, Temporal is bottom 500. He is the opposite of a smurf. Exactly, James. Obviously, I can't even do it. Stars Filth, in quotes, I am not here to get the maybe you belong in your rank treatment. Yeah, we know. Yeah. Obviously? We can't get obviously? I can't do it, guys. I think that's right. Out of him, GG, go next. Obviously, that's what happens at the secret meetings. The Cabal has spoken. Right? Geomancer says, I'm bottom 500 and every game I play is against top 506 stacks. And I have 6 levers on my team. There you go. That did genuinely happen with Arg, but he's a streamer who one tricks Hanzo. Yeah, like that's a more interesting story, and that sort of thing can't happen. Don't get me wrong, there are, and you've seen things like that of people who will look around and go, especially back in like season 2, season 3 era, when it's like, no, there's a Mercy one trick on my team that is only playing Mercy. I refuse to let them get into GM, or I refuse to let them win, or they abused Diva to go from gold to masters. I'm not going to let them win. You'd get a little bit of that, a little bit of this like stuff going on back then. Not so much anymore, and usually when it happens, there's something more specific going on there, or brig abusers, as people would call them, that sort of thing. They didn't come for help. They wanted an ego boost. It seems right. Instead, we got to make a video. Abivoli. Temporal feeds the trolls. We do not discriminate against trolls here. We do not discriminate against trolls here. He's done it. There we go. I'm learning a new language here, guys. Abivoli. Okay. And there was the guy who would stream snipe Emong and soft throw. Oh, Emong got a bunch of that. XQC got a bunch of that. There are absolutely people who make it hard. Aspen's gotten some of that. Like, there are absolutely players out there and groups of players out there who will make it hard for some people. But I don't know who Deleted is. I don't think they're specifically going after Deleted. Deleted might have pissed someone off in a game and they decided that they were going to lose the game on Deleted's team, and then they might have lost a few more games on Deleted's team. But that's different than what some people have actually run into, where, hey, groups are actually getting together or in some coordinated way trying to make it difficult for streamers because they're having fun doing so. They're having fun being the trolls. Well, Temporal, you're on my team in the scrims, okay? I hear you, Game Buster. But not some unknown like this guy, right? AB volleyball. Yep. I promise not to watch the replay from your perspective. Okay. That's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please do drop a like if you haven't. Consider subscribing. If you'd like to get coaching to actually get better at Overwatch, that is something that we do here. You can join my Discord in the description below to see what my rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have going on, events like scrimmages, stacking, things like that we do within the server. Those can be a lot of fun. We also cover fun topics like this. And if you want to be here to be part of the discussion, to call me out and say, no, Temporal, you just don't understand. They really are forming a cabal against me. Then you can be here to make those comments in chat, and I can see those, and we can perhaps have some back and forth. Best way to do that is in the Discord. You can go down to Get Roles and react to become a watcher. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one.